But it's not just about the court-martial. It's about public opinion. It's about us being here in the streets, being in the Occupy movements. We got 50 different cities around the world today celebrating Bradley Manning's birthday and outraged at his treatment of 18 months without a day in court. That Bradley Manning is a true whistleblower in every sense of the definition, and democracy, both American and around the world, owes him a gratitude. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out. Free Bradley Manning!
Thank you, Emma. My name is Ann Wright. I'm a retired U.S. Army colonel, 29 years in the military, and a former U.S. diplomat who resigned in 2003 in opposition to the war in Iraq. What was it? 6 months ago, we were out in the streets in front of Quantico to get the conditions changed, the pretrial conditions at that time, over a year that Bradley Manning had been in solitary confinement and forced nudity and things like that. And we got it changed. He's at Fort Leavenworth. And I've been in the court 2 days, yesterday and today, and we've seen Bradley in person. He's a slim guy. He's a thin guy. But he's a guy that has stood up under intense military pressure, trying to break him down. The retaliation, the retribution that the military is doing toward him, even though he hasn't been convicted of a thing. This pre-trial confinement that he has had, that even people in Abu Ghraib, Guantanamo, all of these prisons that tragically the United States has held citizens of other countries. Now we're doing it to our own soldiers who've never been convicted of a damn thing. So what we're doing now as citizen activists is showing Bradley Manning and his family that's there and his legal team, who are so appreciative of us being out here. Very appreciative. Even a person of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange. Remember old Julian? You know, he's under threat in England. Well, his attorneys are here right now sitting in this court-martial to see how the U.S. government is going after Bradley in order to form a defense should it be necessary for Julian. So it's so important what we're doing here. And if any of you all can be here tomorrow, the next day, we need to have people in that courtroom to show the solidarity. When Bradley walks into that court and he looks around and he sees friends wearing these shirts. He sees friends that he knows that they are there for him, that we demand a fair trial. That's what we're asking for. We want a fair trial. Produce the evidence, folks. Produce the evidence, U.S. government, on what this man did. If indeed he did disclose many of these documents that we've seen that detail criminal actions by the United States of America, then I say good for him. Good for him. Yeah. It's that criminal actions by our own government that we're concerned about, and when anybody becomes a whistleblower that says, I will stand up, I will fight the system to show what the system's doing in our name, by golly, he gets my support. Thank you.
I served as a 35 Mike and Human Intelligence Collector in the United States Army for 3 years, and let me tell you something, Bradley Manning is a political prisoner. Bradley Manning did what a soldier's mandate is, and that when he sees illegal activities being done, he reports it to the proper authorities, and when the proper authorities are the ones who are not doing their jobs either, he took the next step that any soldier should have done and told the people. And now, and I also like to lament also about Mohammed Bouazizi, who today as well lit himself on fire to protest against his government and the oppression there. So just like Bouazizi, who started revolution in the Arab world, Manning has started revolution in the United States. The status quo is no longer acceptable because of what Manning has shown. Manning has shown that this government, along with corporations and other private interests, are abusing people in other countries, and Manning did the right thing. So if Manning did release these materials, then like Ann said, he has earned my respect as a soldier as well. And there's a pretty cliche saying we have in the Army, part of the warrior ethos: never leave a fallen comrade behind. So Manning, we are here. There are veterans in this crowd, and we are not going to leave you behind.
My name is Lieutenant Dan Choi, and I was kicked out under Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
with a society that has repealed don't ask, don't tell in the military. And I don't want to live in a society that replaces that don't ask, don't tell with a new don't ask, don't tell in society and in our national security. It's time that we unclassify the truth that the people deserve to know. For that is what we swear to uphold, those Army values. And when we see that with a situation where our comrade is in shackles and chains, he is on trial, but I remind you, among all of us gathered here today, because Bradley Manning stood up for the truth, he is the most free among all of us. He is not the one on trial. The United States of America is on trial today. Our reputation and what our country stands for. The soldiers' creed, the creed and the code of conduct that we learn. I am an American soldier. Bradley Manning stood up as an American soldier, raised his right hand, put himself in harm's way, deployed to Iraq because he loves this country. One day we will see among us who fight for truth, who fight for transparency, that no matter what the president wants to promise in a campaign, you should stand for transparency when you have the power to. So we call upon the president. Mr. President, if you believe in transparency, then meet us at this gate. I will never forget that I am an American fighting for freedom, responsible for my actions, and dedicated to the principles that made my country free. Bradley Manning did that, and he should be free.
What Martin Luther King said was, like a boil that can never be cured until it is opened up with all its pus-flowing ugliness to the natural medicines of air and light, so too injustice can never be cured unless it is exposed to the light of human conscience and the air of national opinion before it can be cured. That's exactly what Bradley Manning did. He lanced that boil and he opened the injustices, the torture, the other things that were going on in Iraq in particular, but throughout the world when he got access to other information, to the air of human opinion and the light of human conscience. So that's why we applaud Bradley Manning. That's why we stick with him. That's why we're not going to leave Bradley Manning, because he did for us what we all would do, I hope, in those circumstances. It takes unusual guts to do what he did.
We're gonna stay right here. We're gonna stay right